response from you, please, on the escalating rhetoric that we've seen from not only North Korea but also the United States?
Yeah, too bellicose a tone, isn't it? And that's what concerns us, as we were saying before. We were saying and continue to say that the military solution is not an option in any way, and that the resolution that we adopted is not an end in itself. That we have A, to work out a strategy, and B, to involve parties into the political dialogue. And Russia and China were proposing that constantly for more than a month now, in fact earlier, and we think that this plea for political dialogue and easing of tensions is becoming even more relevant now.
What would you say to Donald Trump sort of in response to his remarks yesterday?
Look, who am I to engage in a conversation with the President of the United States? But we noted what he was saying. I think that our strong wish is that the United States keeps calm and refrain from any moves that would provoke another party into actions that might be dangerous.
Are you going to do anything to promote dialogue with North Korea? Is Russia going to do anything to promote dialogue?
Of course, we are ready to do whatever we can to promote dialogue, and through our embassy we are in contact with North Korean authorities. But I think that we should give it a time, because the tensions are too high at the moment, and you know that the reaction from the North Korean government was very strong and harsh, I would say, and that was reciprocated by from here. I think that we should give it a few days to calm down, hopefully. As we said, we want the tensions to ease, and we have to start seriously about devising and inventing ways for the political dialogue on this issue. Sorry?
You have criticized the U.S. South Korean Fed, but what is the U.S. supposed to do when you have ICBM launches headed towards the U.S., getting closer and closer?
You know that the Chinese initiative on double cessation and parallel tracks is a proposal to find a way out of that situation. The deployment of THAAD won't solve the problem of any ballistic missiles that another side may fire. You know that it was not meant to. I'm not a great specialist in armaments and in anti-ballistic, ballistic or other. A technical specialist, but I understand that THAAD missiles won't be able to solve the ballistic launches if they happen again, for example. THAAD does not add anything to the strategic balance in the region. This is what the Chinese were saying all the time and continue to say, and we also were saying that this does not ease tensions at the peninsula. So I'm not sure that THAAD is the key to solving that problem.
Ambassador, on the diplomatic spat between the United States and Russia over the premises, the diplomatic premises, and the staff being sent back, the Americans, have you received any notice that you'll be losing any Russian staff from the UN mission here,
No.
or are you expecting to?
I'm not expecting this. Our mission to the United Nations is, in fact, and should be out of the calculation of our bilateral missions, because it's a separate diplomatic entity which is accredited to the United Nations, not to the United States.
Mr. Ambassador to North Korea, what would Russia's message be to both President Trump and to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un?
Find a way to start a dialogue.
Mr. Ambassador, have you spoken to your American and North Korean counterparts since the language of the last 24 hours?
Myself?
Yes.
No.
Do you plan to? And if so, why? And if not, why not?
I think that our minister spoke to the North Korean minister in Manila at the ASEAN meeting last weekend. And all messages that had to be sent, they were sent there.
Ambassador, just back on the resolution that was adopted on Saturday, people are now saying it's a lot of this depends on Russia and China implementing the resolution. Can you tell us?
We are always implementing Security Council resolutions faithfully, so we will do it this time too.
And particularly on the issue of guest workers, how many North Korean guest workers are there in Russia?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Do you have trust that China will implement the resolution on sanctions? There has been strong criticism that Beijing doesn't always follow.
You should ask them about that, but China is also a responsible member of the international community, the permanent member of the Security Council, so why are you having doubts it will not?
Is anyone considering calling a meeting or consultations on the sort of escalating rhetoric that we've seen?
Not that I know for the moment. Do you have any other questions about North Korea?
Well, how about
the famine statement?
The famine statement, it has been adopted. So what?
You just had you raised under any other business Syria aid access. Can you tell us why you raised that?
Because you know that de-escalation zones in Syria are progressing. One has been installed, another in Eastern Ghouta, and now we are discussing the one that is north of Homs, and it is being patrolled by the Russian police. And we offered our colleagues, and in fact we encouraged the United Nations to step up their humanitarian assistance to those de-escalation zones, saying that our police would ensure that this humanitarian assistance would go to the right hands. People who are returning to their homes in these zones are in dire need of any kind of assistance. So we're encouraging the OCHA and our partners to take that into account and to step up their humanitarian affairs activities in this zone, in these areas. But of course, there are other areas in Syria where people also need humanitarian assistance. That of course was not forgotten.
Mr. Ambassador, was that the only message that you had for any other business item on Syria?
Yes.
That was it?
There was a letter by our Defense Minister to Secretary General Representative de Mistura on that issue, and we wanted to brief our Security Council colleagues on it.
Can I ask you a different subject? I know it's early, and welcome to New York. What are your early impressions of your American counterpart? I know you met with her, and now
You've already asked me that question.
I didn't,
very positive. We cooperated, so we had good rapport, I think, and I'm hoping that it will stay that way in the future.
Ambassador
Who is saying here the last question?
Ambassador Haley is raising the beat against Hezbollah in Lebanon and the arms of Hezbollah. What do you think about changing or amending the mandate of UNIFIL in southern Lebanon?
We will come to discussing the mandate of UNIFIL later, I think this month. But we consider this operation very important for peacekeeping in the Middle East and especially in that area. We will be supporting UNIFIL. I will betray you a small secret beforehand, so no need to worry about it.
Thank you.
On our part.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you for stopping, really.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ambassador.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can also make a comment as humanitarian, humanitarian penholder on Syria. I just wanted to say that we welcome the update by the Russian ambassador today. We have noted the reduction of violence in the de-escalation zones, and of course every effort that can be made to reduce violence in Syria is welcome. What we hope, of course, is that this can spread and so that we could have a nationwide ceasefire. On the humanitarian issues, I should say that we have many times regretted that despite the de-escalation zones, there has not been better humanitarian access. So it is encouraging to hear that there are now a few convoys that have come through. But also here, what we need at the end of the day is full humanitarian access to all the zones, or I should say everywhere in Syria, for all humanitarian actors. And so I hope that this is a start, but there's clearly more that needs to be done.
How confident are you that Russia will make certain that humanitarian convoys can get increased access to all of the de-escalation zones?
That will remains to be seen. But as I said, it's a first encouraging step, and we now hope that this is something that can be rolled out in all the de-escalation zones for all humanitarian actors.
Can you make a comparison between what's going on with rhetoric, something that is not happening now, the North Korea situation, and famine, and how many people are dying and the money is not coming through? Misappropriation of focus?
I'm not sure if I can make any connection between the three. As I stated this morning, I think on North Korea, we have now a very important resolution, and we need to ensure effective and comprehensive implementation of that resolution, and that includes dialogue, a dialogue that can ease tension but also can lead to a lasting solution. On the famine, you saw the statement this morning. We are very happy that we took this initiative. We need to draw more attention to this issue to ensure that we can prevent 20 million people from dying, including many children. And so we're hopeful that this is a first step in more concrete action from the Council on this, as this is very much related to the conflict and the crisis in those 4 countries. Thanks.
Thanks, Ambassador.